and subtract rational numbers. Here's the steps to add and subtract. First, we want to rewrite as equivalent fractions with a common denominator. Second, circle each fraction with a sign in front of it to determine whether you're adding or subtracting. If we have the same signs, we're going to add. Different signs, subtract. Third, we're going to add or subtract the numerators only and keep the denominator the same. Fourth, determine the sign of your answer. And the last step is always simplify, which is reduce to the lowest terms. Let's take a look at the first example. Okay, so if I take a look, my denominators are 3 and 4. I need to find my least common denominator, which would be 12. So now I have to multiply 3 times 4, so that would make 12. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do the numerator. And that will become an equivalent fraction of negative 8/12. Do the same thing to 1/4. I'm going to multiply the bottom by 3. Same thing to the top. And I get 3/12. Don't forget to bring down that subtraction sign there. Next, we have the circle with the signs in front. If I take a look, my signs are the same. I have a negative 8/12 and a negative 3/12. They're the same sign, so I'm going to add the numerators, get 11/12, and keep the sign of my answer. So negative 2/3 minus 1/4 is equal to negative 11/12. Take a look at the next one. 6/7 minus negative 4/5. Again, we need to find a least common denominator. So 35 is going to be the new denominator. So my equivalent fractions would be 30/35 and negative 28/35. Again, don't forget to bring down that subtraction sign. Okay, next part, you circle with the signs in front. Now, I have two negatives next to each other, so we have to remember that those two negatives become a giant positive. Okay. So now I have a positive, and now this is a new positive, so they're the same signs. I'm going to add and keep the sign. I get 58/35. Now that's an improper fraction, so I have to ask myself how many times does 35 go into 58? Goes in one time with 23 left over out of 35. Right. Now what happens when we get mixed numbers? When you get a mixed number, you have to turn it into an improper fraction. And we do that by multiplying the denominator by the whole number and adding the numerator. So we get negative 17/8. And here, multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator. And we get negative 7/4. Now, if you notice, we don't have a common denominator, so we have to multiply the 4 by 2, and I can leave this one alone, or you can think of it as multiplying by 1. So we can bring that down, and this will become negative 14/8. Now we're good because we have common denominators. Next, we want to circle with the signs in front. Now, if you notice, I have a negative 17/8 and a negative 14/8. Those are both negative, so they're the same sign, which means I'm going to add the numerators. And I get 31/8. Keep the sign, so it's negative. So negative 31/8. However, it's an improper fraction. Ask myself, how many times does 8 go into 31? Goes in 3 times with 7 left over out of 8. Don't forget your answer is negative. So negative 2 1/8 minus 1 3/4 is equal to negative 3 7/8.